white person was selected to be on the men's 2024 basketball team for the Olympics? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Only when it suits you.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Welcome to Brothers in Booze. Somebody want to tell him?
Nah, let him just live in his dumb bubble.
All right. I mean, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, well, we know that's what we say to that. So, welcome, man. How are you?
Good. Really good because I got a special package, like literally delivered to my desk an hour ago.
Wow. Oh, you're doing?
Yeah, why not? What are you doing?
Same thing, sir. Yeah. Keller beer.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's open them together. And from Trace Brewing. If y'all don't know who Trace Brewing is, y'all about to find out. Yeah, dog. Okay. It's rare that we have the same beer, so that's really nice. Shout out to our guests for that, but we'll get to
a little bit of an aggressive pour there going.
No, well, mine's it's a little heady, man.
Yeah,
we'll never complain about that, right?
No, sir. So yeah, this was just for everybody. This is a Keller beer from Trace. So it's nice German style lager. So you're the lager guy.
Mine isn't as cold as I want it to be. But man, that's crisp. Mm-hmm. Summer drinker. Really approachable to those Bud Light people. Very lagery, very crisp, very the head dissipates at some point, Doug, so it's not, it doesn't hang out that well. I mean, what do you think?
All what you just said. I have mine in the fridge. I got mine yesterday somehow, but I'm also a bit closer to Pittsburgh than you are. So I got mine yesterday, so I got those in the fridge. But I'll just look at the color on that. Just, like you said, crispy, super drinkable, very summery beer. So cheers.
Cheers. So we'll do this for. Yeah, Doug. So, past guest news. You're up first.
All right. So our friend Amanda Dybert, who will be on next week, talking about her and her wife are doing a Powerpuff Girls Halloween special together, which is pretty fucking cool.
Hold on a sec.
Yeah, there we go. Look at you. Got the graphic ready and everything.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So next week, you mentioned it, and it's time to plug. All right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's okay. So this is something that was actually her and her wife have been hoping to do this because their daughter's a huge fan of Powerpuff Girls. So this is cool that she gets to kind of make this Halloween special for Powerpuff Girls, and her and her wife get to do it together. So, and they're at Comic-Con this weekend. So this weekend. So San Diego Comic-Con for the record. It'll be great. We're looking forward to having her
on. We'll be able to ask her all about that. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. And next is our last piece here. I don't think, well, Doug, you know about it, but I don't think you know that I was going to bring it up. But our friend Mac Brewing has announced their collab for Barrel and Flow. Only us, not them. Kind of sounds like not like us. Just saying. It's a great theme for the summer. A sour ale with mango and sweet dark cherry at 9%, Doug. Any initial thoughts?
That is below the normal double figures for Mac. That was my first thought. But the idea of mixing mango and sweet dark cherry sounds super interesting. I'm really going to be really interested in trying that. And plus, the artwork on that is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, it does. I
Yes,
don't
it
know.
does.
Mac always squeezes in what 9-10%.
He's got
Remind
to do that.
very mindful of our mindful. Reminds us of our friends Giant Jones.
Yep.
Shout out to all the high ABV breweries out there. Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
1% lower though.
Right. Jerry, I didn't know you were a baseball fan or an Oriole fan. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I
What's
believe
up,
he's
April? What's up,
April. Yeah,
April?
welcome,
What's
April.
going
Looking forward
on?
to seeing you in a couple weeks too, April.
Going
Hang out again.
on, going on. Yeah. So that's fun. Check Barrel Flow's page for the releases of the collabs that are coming. Hopefully our guests could talk about the collab that they have going on too, Doug. So I guess without further ado, it's time, right? Do you have anything else, Doug? Past guests, we're good.
Nope. I think we're gonna be good. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we'll probably have a replay of one of our wonderful Barrel Flow guests. We'll see which one we pick, and we'll have a nice little replay for y'all while we are enjoying Barrel Flow. And y'all could be enjoying Barrel Flow. Doug and I go every year.
Yep.
And yeah, so Pittsburgh's a fun city to visit.
The Steelers notwithstanding, I know, but yes.
But yeah, but
yeah,
my Browns are able to take care of them now, so there's a lot less oomph there, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But no, but Pittsburgh is a fun city. We're gonna get into it with our friend Adam here really soon. Actually, Doug, without further ado, I guess you get the honors here, and I'll give you a little bit of visual clues to help you out here. But this is our guest.
Yeah, it's our guy, Aadam Soorma. He is the head of marketing and guest experience. I guess head of marketing. Maybe I'm misstating that for Trace Brewing.
It says it right there.
Yeah, and the cool thing is with Trace is they are extraordinarily friendly to the LGBTQIA plus community, and that is a lot of places will shy away from that. They don't. They embrace it. They dive head in. They do drag shows and all that kind of cool stuff. Just a really cool little brewery. Like it's right in the middle of Bloomfield, which is kind of in the middle of Pittsburgh. It's a really nifty little neighborhood. Went there last year. They had an excellent barbecue place outside. I went and I met Mac there and Latifah, and that was really cool little place. So yeah, Adam, I reached out to him to try to collaborate with him because I was co-lead for Pride Committee where I work. So I got to interview him and talk about that. How they market as a small business versus I work for a giant corporation. So it's a nice little thing. But yeah, I asked him if he'd jump on with us, and he said, yeah. So yeah, let's bring him on.
Yeah, hold on, Doug, though, real quick.
Okay.
The last line there is what I'm really interested in there. What the hell is that all about? Right.
We need to find out, don't we?
Yeah. So shut up, Greg, and get him out here, right, Doug?
Yeah.
You do the honors, Doug, because otherwise we'll stumble over each other.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
How you doing? Nice to meet you. Yeah. What's in the glass? Because you've already treated us with something. We want to thank you for this.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Looks like the packages made it. I got those in the mail kind of last minute. Oh, there's Jerry in the comments. Hi, Jerry.
Yeah.
He's a good friend. It's funny that earlier you mentioned that collab with Mac because their collaborator. I just stopped by and got a shirt from New France. I was like just there the other day. That was there it is. I think does that say New France? Yeah. That's super funny that that the Mac co-collaborator is New France and they're here in Pittsburgh, PA. But I just stopped by there and I picked up a shirt and I saw you guys doing the introduction and I was like, oh, I actually just did laundry. I have that shirt. But yeah, no, I'm doing well. I'm just drinking an IPA. I actually, we are currently out of cans, which is super embarrassing. So this is just a beer from our friends at Old Thunder in Blawnox. They're just down the street from us, and it's just a little IPA from them that I wanted to start with. But cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay.
Hey,
cheers. Cheers.
So you're out of cans. I just went to a brewery yesterday to pick up some stuff they had just released, and they were out of labels for their cans. So I just got cans, naked cans with like a marker on telling me what it was. I don't know what's going on with supply chain.
Yeah. Ours is just like the canning frequency is lower. We do a lot of events, as you mentioned, with drag brunch and disco and all of that. So the beer tends to move over the bar. However, we will have cans as we head into next week. Obviously, it's Barrel and Flow, and as you guys have mentioned, that's coming right up. So we're gonna go ahead and stock up and be ready for that crowd.
Excellent. Well, Adam, before we get into all kinds of other things, please just give us, give us more than this graphic, which I like and it's cool and it's dope. But that doesn't really, show you. I've done some research on you. That graphic does not fully show who the person that you are. So give us a little bit of insight of who you are, in case people don't know you.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Adam. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, like near Akron, Canton, Ohio. Went to college, actually to run track. I was on a track scholarship at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, and then pretty much finished school, like did the journalism thing. I love writing. I feel like that's one of the few things I do well. And after college, I got a job in Cleveland, Ohio. Worked as a translator for a French company. I speak French and Hindi and English, and that led to graduate school. So I went to grad school. That brought me to Pittsburgh in 2012 and did that. I studied public policy. I did a fellowship in DC. I think you guys went through my little resume. I got the UN fellowship, so I worked at the United Nations in Washington and did that for a summer. That led to a job at an advertising agency doing work for NASA. So I did that for about 2 years. And then, we got a nice shout out to journalism. Hell yeah. And then pretty much after working in policy and in government stuff and kind of all of that, I started to think about like hospitality and got a job driving a tour bus as a brewery tour guide. And on that website, the Porter Brewery Tours, that was my buddy Andy. He found a school bus online that was just like a decommissioned old school bus, and he bought it. And we both went and we got our commercial driver's licenses and started driving this bus around. We could seat like 15 guests and take them to breweries, and that way they didn't have to drive; they could just drink. So we would give them a tour and a tasting and get to kind of see how the beer gets made. And it was a really fun, probably one of the most fun jobs I've ever had was being a brewery tour guide. And this is like 2017, 2018, 2019 era. So Pittsburgh's sort of like, we're kind of finding our identity as a bit of a beer city. That led to a job at the local TV station, and I wrote a beer column. And then that led to Trace when we were opening. And then I kind of got brought on as the head of marketing, and I just do like our website, our social stuff like this, talking to podcast folks, talking to the media, booking food trucks and events. And that's pretty much it in like hopefully about a little over 60 seconds or less.
That's fun. You got a fun job. I would consider that a fun job.
It's fun. It's challenging. We're open every day, and like I was telling Doug, like I felt bad that we're out of cans. I wanted to mail you guys cans. All I could come up with was like an unlabeled collaborative bottle and then those crowlers. But I'm just happy you can have our beer in Wisconsin.
We ain't complaining.
No.
Yeah, we are not complaining.
Cool.
I would like to say, I was telling Adam this before the show, this is the prettiest label for a crowler can I've ever seen. I just think that's, and you know me, I am a sucker for can art, and if it's got pretty can art, I'm going to buy it. This is just, it's beautiful. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
All right. So before we get to Trace, let's stop at Doug, let's start at the Porter Of course, I love the Porter
Yeah.
brewery tours. That sounds like fun, but I know that there's probably some downsides to it. So, um, uh, I kind of want to. If you do, you have any funny bus tour experiences, or do you have any worst questions that were ever asked? Where there, because everybody says there's always a good question. No, there's no bad questions, Doug. No, sometimes they're bad questions. Did you ever get any bad questions, Adam, or did you any fun experiences you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, like I remember, a big purpose of the brewery tour was to prevent folks from driving, and so like our only rule really was, hey, like what you're paying for is 3 stops, and at every stop you get like a taster flight or a sampler flight or whatever along with the tour. So by the end of the tour, start to finish, you drink roughly 3 full beers in about 4 hours, and like so that's not like a ton. However, if you wanted to have another extra beer, you could have a pint or whatever at the breweries. But our rule was please don't vomit. Please don't throw up on the bus. Like we just really don't want that to happen. And I remember I I hosted a group from my hometown, like from Canton, Ohio. And it was the first time that rule got broke. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I gave him a discount. I'm taking him to my favorite spots. I'm like, hey, this is my brewery tour. Like, I think it was like somebody was getting married. It was like a bachelor party, and they had other plans, but they wanted to start the day with this brewery tour. And they showed up and they had pre-gamed, and I was like, oh, why did you pre-game? We're already gonna drink. And they're like throwing up, and I just felt bad. I was like, I'm not gonna kick you off the bus. Like, you're my friends, but like this was the only time the rule got broken. You know what I mean? It was definitely a bit of a funny moment.
right.
Did you make them clean it up, or did you clean it up?
They got it in the trash can. They were good.
Oh, good.
They were just like, they were also they weren't trying to hide it. They weren't like, oh, quick, put that shit away. Like they totally were like, hey, I'm sorry, threw up, got it in the trash can. Just want to let you know. Like, it's cool. Easy cleanup. Just tie it up, throw it away.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like a blowout situation, literally.
Right.
Anyway, or a volcano situation, which is I think anyway. I don't know why I'm even going there. Doug, do you have I'm not
Yeah. There's a few comments that I wanted to go to if you're cool with that, Greg. Just in relation to the can art, which I thought this was JHG said that the cans are Dune-esque, and I was and Daniel Fisher said, yeah, I imagine a ship riding above Arrakis now. Dunes, that's our we have a bunch of nerds here, and I'm one of them, so this is perfect. Two questions before we go.
I slowed down, Victor. I didn't say it. I didn't. I'm sorry, Doug. Go on.
That's okay. I think I don't know if you know who Siren of Stout is, Adam.
Yeah,
I think she went to. They're saying that Daniel thought that she went to OU as well for track.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, she was a couple of years before me, but yeah, Barb lives in Michigan with her family, and she did go to Ohio U for track. So Dan's right.
Yeah, we had her on the show once. We got to get her back sometime, but she's like crazy busy now. So, this is a good question regarding writing stuff. How did you applying the writing skills to marketing at Trace?
That's a good question. I would say, to be honest with you, the bulk of that sort of lives in our day-to-day social media frequency. So if I'm putting together content for Instagram, for Twitter, for Facebook, that's, definitely like the voice and tone and the brand expression comes from me. But also I would say like a big part of that, like the writing skills, actually is concepting like an event. For example, if tomorrow we have an event where we have a photographer, and she's doing an event called Shoot Your Shot, and it's going to be her taking photos of people for their dating profiles if they're dating. So it's like meant to be like a singles event. Like if you're single and you want to have a beautiful headshot, they're going to use Trace as the backdrop for that, and then let folks have a nice professional portrait or headshot or whatever, however they feel cool or like sexy, and like have that be the event. So coming up with the language and the tone and the voice, that part of the brand is, I think, what probably what I feel the most comfortable with as far as like applying the writing skills. Because like I think that's kind of where it starts, because you can always plug in design or photography or visuals, or like Doug said, that Crowler label, all these things kind of like plug in, but you just have to have that like foundation. And so I think that when Dave hired me, he was like, help us build a foundation for like who we are, like identity wise.
Okay. Did Dave, I'm assuming, is one of the owners, right?
Yeah.
Did he have a direction that he wanted to go, or was he just like, hey man, where do we go? Like, was he kind of handing the reins off to you, or did he have an idea of what?
Yeah, I definitely had an idea. Like, I think that, so visually, like the Trace, I guess it's like our little, like our triangle mark and like all of the branding, it was kind of like just available on Google. Like nobody had claimed that word or that name for a brewery, but also Dave did a pretty good job of figuring out keeping it pretty ephemeral and pretty abstract, so that it was just like however you interpret it, it can be interpreted. But his direction that he gave me was just to basically like make it work, like be good for the neighborhood, be good for the city, be good for the industry, be good for people who don't go to breweries. Like the job that I had was to like get people in the door. As far as the brand expression and all of that, it was COVID. So it was all just takeout until we could like figure out, kind of who we were and how we were going to say who we were. So he gave me a lot of creative freedom, but the part that he did well was just keeping the logo so simple. Like this is just literally a triangle. The city of Pittsburgh, it's if you've ever been, there are 3 rivers, and the rivers form a triangle downtown. And so like the Allegheny and the Mon form the Ohio, and it flows like towards Cincinnati. So I feel like, it's very much like if you come to Pittsburgh and you happen to be downtown, it's going to be triangular. It's not really like gridded. So it just fit for, being a very like safe, generic kind of brand that we could like build on.
Yeah. JG, who is a graphic designer by trade himself, is like simplicity wins the day in design. So yeah, that's cool that they have. And Trace is an interesting name for a brewery. Like it's not super, like you said, ephemeral is a good way to describe it. It's like not straightforward, but that kind of gives it a bit of mystery or interpretation. So that's cool. I really dig that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you ever come inside of our building, you can step inside and take a look around and trace back what the building used to be. It used to be like a brass foundry and like an automotive plant and like, manufacturing, when Pittsburgh was more manufacturing. So now that what we're manufacturing is beer, we kind of wanted to be like, oh, you can trace back what it was before we were here,
Punny, I see. Yeah. Greg, you got something?
What do you expect out of a journalist, right?
Yeah, it's fair.
It's like so on the nose.
Yeah. What do you have? What's your second beer there, Adam? Sorry.
I'm just having a Hams.
Good old Hams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Old school.
Yes. So I like when craft beer people drink, for lack of a better word, dog, crap beer. I'm not trying. Sorry, Adam, I'm not.
He's not judging.
Hams goes back, man.
No,
Hams goes back. Hams goes back. Well, it's funny too, Adam. How long have you been in the craft beer game? Just so we know.
So, like, let's see here. I've been with Trace since the start. If you go a little bit before that with being a tour guide and being a writer, I would say I've been working in beer since roughly 2017, 2018. So about 6 years.
So I think you were around that time where craft beer was a little bit more cutthroat and people were gatekeeping it a lot more. And part of that gatekeeping was people saying, where craft beer people were like, I refuse to drink Bud. I refused to drink Coors Light. And then there was even that angle of like people looking down on people because they liked Coors and all those different things. And now I think we've kind of mellowed. I think the pandemic has kind of mellowed us on that. Because during the pandemic, as you know, a lot of people went back to, their comfort beers. They kind of got out of like the whole trying different things and just going to the things that brought them comfort, or things that, you know what I mean? So hams and, things that we grew up with and that we were comfortable with. A lot of people went back. So I think that was a good thing. We talk about the bad things about the pandemic. I think that was a good thing where, now it's just like, it's weird because again, craft beer people want to drink what they want to drink and they want to have that, autonomy. But on some level, when it first started, they were like, well, if you drink that beer, then you're this kind of person. So like, I don't even have really a question for you there. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but this is really more of a comment that we've gotten more, less, I don't know what the word is.
Judgy?
What is it? Well, but snobby. How about that, Doug? Snobby. Because remember, we were called beer snobs. If we knew anything more about beer, then we're, quote, beer snobs. So there's this level of like, I think we're, chilling out now. And like, I don't know. Again, when Doug and I started, maybe somebody would have been in the comments like, why is he drinking hams? And now we're just like, oh, hams. Cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or you should drink what you like, and if you are gonna gatekeep it, you're just gonna keep people away. And I think a big part of beer is education and being inclusive. So like, I don't know. I feel like there are nights at the brewery where we finish the night and we open up the sales numbers and we outsold beer by seltzer or cocktail. And at first I was like, whoa, that's really bizarre. Like, we sold more with a canned cocktail than we did our own beer. Now, fast forward to 2024, and it's like, oh, it was just that kind of a night, or it was just that kind of an event, or it was hot out, or whatever was happening. So like, yeah, I would say, M. Souter of Pints and Panels, I love when she's like, drink what you like. And like, that's the tweet.
Yeah.
I try to live by that. And maybe that's just me being maybe younger and more naive, but I think that like the need to have a craft beverage or have to drink at a certain level. If you go to most breweries or like a beer festival and you look at what's in the coolers behind the good stuff, it's just hams and High Life, and we're just hanging out,
Yeah. I will say that my go-to for that kind of stuff, it's Labatt's, and I don't know why. Just Labatt's is just like, I'm gonna just sit around and drink something that isn't. I don't know why. There's a comfort in it. It was something I drank a lot when I was in college, and because it's relatively cheap. And yeah,
that's a good beer.
Minus Spotted Cow.
Yeah. Oh, but
he's a Wisconsinite.
Yeah, he's in Wisconsin. Yeah, like you can actually get that.
Yeah, I'll bring y'all some. This request. Actually, Doug, I asked you what you wanted from New Glarus. You didn't respond yet.
I did
Check
not.
that out when you do it.
That's because I forgot. I know one I want is a strawberry rhubarb one they have, if you get any of that. That's delicious. But
I'll check. Okay, cool. Let's check with the comments real quick. Jerry asked this one, and we can say here that August Wilson African American Culture Center.
Yeah.
And Trace Brewing. So Adam, what is the deets on this?
Yeah, I had to look at my notes because it's got a lot going on. So basically, we were paired with the August Wilson Center for this year's Barrel and Flow collaboration. To the second part of that question, I don't have the label yet because it's still being formed. The director of the August Wilson Center, her name is Janice. She decided to work within their system of artists to do it. We were going to work internally with Atia, one of our bartenders. She's a graphic designer and an artist and a multidisciplinary artist. But Janice was like, hey, we'll take care of it. And we were like, all right, cool. So I should hopefully have a draft ready to review probably this upcoming week. And then as far as the beer here, I'm just going to read from my notes because Zach really wanted to get it right. So basically, the August Wilson Center, is a center that celebrates all of the performing arts and culture and identity of the African continent. And when we were thinking about the ingredients for this beer, Zach, who is white and like a straight white dude, was like, the best way to represent the identity of the August Wilson Center is going to be to work with them to come up with a grain bill and ingredients and adjuncts that actually tie back to the heritage and culture of the center and of Africa. And so he basically, what we came up with was a beer that's going to be brewed using millet instead of traditional like malt or grain, because millet is a little bit more, it was more commonly brewed and consumed at special occasions, made with maize and different grains that were native to Africa. And so we took that base and then we built on that by ordering hops. And one of the hops that's being used in this beer is African Queen. And African Queen is grown in South Africa. So we have African Queen going in as the hop. We have millet as the grain bill in the base. And then we're going to add mango. So we're going to fruit it as well. So it's happening in multiple stages because the brew date was a week ago. It was last Friday. So we got the hot side done. And on the cold side, we're doing all these different things to get it ready for barrel and flow. The fruit edition went in yesterday, and then it'll get crashed, and then it'll get packaged. There is a name for it, but I'm going to hold on sharing the name because I think August Wilson Center should have a chance to review and just like give their green light, and same with the label. But basically, it is going to be an ale, and it's Trace and August Wilson Center. And if anyone has seen the movie Fences with Denzel Washington, that was based on the story of August Wilson, the playwright, and sort of how they gained a lot of notoriety. It'd be awesome if Denzel came to Barrel and Flow, but that is our collaborative partner is the August Wilson Center.
Yeah, imagine if you could collaborate on a beer with Denzel Washington.
That'd be awesome. So I know that was a long answer, but
no, that's okay. It was a complicated thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's got so many moving parts, but I think that it'll end up being a good beer. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely different, and like everyone talks about Barrel and Flow being a bit of a different, just a different festival and a different atmosphere. For brewers, for us, when we hold space and time and tank time to do Barrel and Flow, we're thinking about this in like March. So we're thinking about this months in advance, knowing that we have to package kegs and cans, get it into bars, get it into restaurants, get it to the festival. We're really excited because we say no to a lot of collabs just to make sure we have the right space and time and bandwidth to do Barrel and Flow properly. And Zach was really good about. He is a man on fire.
Great movie.
Yeah. So yeah, we're excited. I think people will enjoy it, but yeah, it's definitely one of those projects. Yes.
Well, thanks for that insight. That is excellent, because one of the things, real quick, Doug, I'm sorry. One of the things about collabs is like there's generally always a good story about a collab, how it came together, the inner workings. People just think that you just have a collab at them and people just think, oh, it's a great day. But there's generally so many good stories and how it failed and that collaboration between the two breweries. And we've heard some things on the side, Doug, that are just wild about collabs, good and bad. So thanks for that insight. That was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Doug, you had something?
Actually, I wanna shelve it. I just realized I can do that as something later for fun stuff. So we'll shelve that bit that I had.
Oh, that's cool. I was ready to get to the fun stuff. So
yeah, let's go if you want to do that.
Yeah, I think there's only one other really business question I want to ask Adam, and that can wait. That's cool. I wanted to kind of get to something fun, and then Doug, I don't know if when you want to do second, I have to go get that. But so Adam, I need to ask you a question before I even get to that. So Adam, what are your spirits? What do you like to delve into when you're not drinking beer?
That's a good question. I would say,
or there isn't anything. It's just beer. That could be the answer.
Sorry, one more time. You said what am I into? Like just like non-beer
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, when you're not drinking beer, are you into the hard seltzers? Are you into the THC seltzers? Are you into the booze? Are you into wine? Do you like shots? Do you like cocktails? What do you? I mean, there's so many different. You're a whiskey guy, you're a bourbon guy. Doug's a Scotch guy. I'm a tequila guy. Where do you go outside of beer if you go anywhere?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really glad you brought that up. That doesn't come up often. My beverage of choice when it's not beer, 100% is coffee. I absolutely love coffee. I feel so lucky that Trace is half brewery, half coffee shop, and our coffee provider, our coffee partner, they're called Ghost. They are incredible, and it's funny that you bring that up because I think that Ghost has almost more notoriety and pull than Trace, and they're just like sort of housed within our building. But Ghost is contract roasting, just like a brewery might contract brew beer. Ghost is contract roasting in Bellevue, just up the river, uppers and downers. But yeah, it's definitely what I reach for the most. If somebody was like, hey, you can have one beverage for the rest of your life, what's it going to be? I would have to actually say coffee over beer. I absolutely love coffee. Are you not a coffee guy, Greg?
I second almost every single emotion that you just said. I love the best breweries are the ones with coffee and beer too, by the way, Doug, the best ones. Like, I haven't been to one of these beer coffee places that's ever sucked, ever. So, and I don't know, I got, I'm starting to collect. I was at Trace, but I wasn't at Trace for the coffee, but I will be at Trace this year for the coffee. I'm going to check all of that out. Do y'all sell beans y'all sell beans in house too?
Yes.
I'm gonna be buying some beans. I'll probably yeah. I shouldn't be drinking that much coffee, Doug, as you know, but I do it in a way.
I drink a lot of coffee. It's just decaf because my heart can't handle that shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, my heart handles it.
I'm envious because I Adam, just for a little background,
I have to.
Yeah. Well, I like almost 3 years ago, I had a heart attack. So when I just stopped drinking caffeine, Greg had one too. Like literally within a month of each other, we had heart attacks. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And after that,
I squeezed that in.
Yeah, you did. I was a little more public about mine, but yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I squeezed in the caffeine. I'm allowed 12 ounces. I'm allowed 12 ounces, so that's what I kind of try to. Coffee again, Adam. I can't stop it. I can stop drinking beer. I can't stop drinking coffee. It could be a problem actually. So anyway, Doug, what were you gonna say? So I agree with you, Adam. I'm totally there. I'm like fist pumping, all that coffee and beer. Actually, last week I wore my coffee then beer shirt. I thought last week, Doug. I love that shit. Right. So yeah, secondhand emotions. Doug, did you have something to say, or you wanted to clean up on comments?
I was just going to say that if I can have a cup of caffeinated coffee. If I have more than that, it feels like the drummer from System of a Down is just pounding on my heart. I can't. It just and then I get worried. So I just drink decaf, and I look for good quality decaf stuff where I'm getting the flavor. I'm not getting the caffeine. But I do. All right. So Adam, that begs the question with coffee. How do you take your coffee? Are you just give it to me black? Do you like cream and sugar? Is there different things? There's just a million ways to take your coffee. So what's your preferred way to get?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely black, but as far as basically our coffee guy, his name is Joe, which is so fitting.
Cup of Joe.
Joe is amazing. And his name is Joe. And Joe is a roaster of coffee, but Joe will often fly back to Guatemala and like different countries to do what's called like bean selection, just like brewers have hop selection. So Joe will go to like South America, Guatemala, Central America, do bean selection, bring it back, and then he will do a pour over for the staff to try, and then he'll do cuppings and sort of isolate flavors and aromas to come up with what's on the label for that coffee. And what I've learned from Joe is like basically more recently, I've been drinking a lot of just like straight up short Americano. So it'll just be a pull of espresso cut with the hot water, but like short, like 6 ounce or like 7 ounce, not like a big 12 ounce or 16 ounce. And I take it black only because I'm trying to sort of like train my palate to get to where he's at. And he'll be like, oh, I'm picking up like a little bit of raspberry, a little bit of strawberry. I'm picking up a little bit of like a floral note. And I'm not quite there yet. And I hope to be there someday. But that's sort of like how I take my coffee is I let Joe, like I'll show up to work and be like, hey man, I'm here. Like you've been here for a couple hours before me. Could you make me something? And he'll prepare something, whatever that is, and I'll just drink it. And that way it sort of expands my palate. But if I have a choice, I'll usually get an Americano, or lately it's been hot out, so a lot of cold brew as well.
Yeah, I don't drink cold coffee ever. Even when it's hot out, I have to have hot coffee. I'm a goofball, but
but that is satisfying though, to have like a hot beverage, in the morning, like if that's your stuff.
This is a good comment from Daniel. It's Daniel's our guy who like basically knows something about everything. Like
he's right. Yeah. I mean, to Daniel's comment, like, yeah, definitely the terroir, like the farmer of where Joe is doing selection. So there's a guy in Pittsburgh. His name is Paulo, and Paulo is from Guatemala. And Paulo's father actually has a coffee farm in Guatemala. So Paulo and his wife are roasters here for a different company called Defer. But that terroir and the weather and the soil and all of like what you might associate with wine or beer, like Joe is thinking about that. And so when he goes to select what's going to be, the next coffee, like I think that I feel like he's thinking about that, but he's also thinking about what's going to actually sell. You can get all heady and you can get all like, super complex about flavors, but at the end of the day, it's just a cup of coffee, and he gets that. So he'll always have his approachable drip blend, which is awesome. But I'm excited for Greg and Doug to come by and to try our coffee, because
I'll happily try some. Like I said, the caffeinated stuff I have to be wary of, but yeah. Do they have any decaf stuff there? Or is it all caffeinated?
Occasionally. So that's the only problem, is the decaf is not as common. It's not as big of a seller. So it's sort of like, if that's what you are looking for, I will just hold it aside before you come.
Okay.
So that was a setup question to this one, which alcohol made you say I'll never drink that again? Adam, do you have one? Doug knows.
That's a great question. I would have to say, like, I will definitely try anything, probably once, if not twice. But one alcohol that I have a lot more to learn about is actually Scotch, and I know that Doug likes Scotch. I don't think it's bad, or that like they've done something wrong. There are all the complexities and the single malts and the barrel picking. I don't understand it. So if somebody hands me Scotch, I am so sorry. It is overcarbed. I'm sorry about that.
I haven't opened mine yet, so now I'm worried.
Yeah, just have a glass ready, because it's.
Yeah, the problem is my glass is super narrow. I'm gonna be like.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I would say.
good,
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I would say Scotch is one that I have a lot more to learn about, and I'm very like cool with admitting that I don't know enough about Scotch.
Yeah, I do not proclaim to be an expert on it all. I just like it. And the thing is, Scotch has like, there's 5, 6 regions depending on who you talk to about what's what. So like, I personally like Islay because I like Scotch is very peaty, and like I really enjoy that flavor. And that terroir stuff, I'm gonna terroir, however you pronounce that word.
Terroir.
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 Right, I'm not French, so sorry. But that's something to
Or
me
Belgium,
like
I think it is.
Belgian, however.
Whatever, sorry.
Whatever, but that's the one that I like. But there's a lot of different variants, and you can find stuff that you can like, but it's a matter of trying and figuring out where your flavor profile leads you. Like if you like coffee and you like heartier stuff, then I would say Islay is probably where you would be happy. But you got Highlands, Lowlands, like you got Isle of Skye, which can be considered its own thing. Like there's a bunch of different stuff. But I'll be happy to talk about you offline because I could talk about that for fucking 2 hours.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to learn more. Yeah, that's an area that I'm a little weak, but I would say like if given the opportunity to select anything, I'm probably not reaching for Scotch, and that's just out of my ignorance. And I feel like when I've been out with people who are like a little bit more in tune, that's when I'm kind of like, oh, cool. Tell me about this Scotch, or tell me about this whiskey, or this bourbon, or this rye that you like. Because if I'm out with Doug and we're at a spot with good Scotch, and you're like, hey man, this spot actually has like 2 or 3 Scotch blends that I love, like cool. Like this is my chance to actually like have a learning moment,
Yeah.
Cool. My simple one is Mad Dog 2020. That's pretty much it. We don't have to talk about it anymore. That shit's
No, we do. I have one. Are you ready? Because I haven't.
Well,
oh, you don't do Malort?
I had a friend send me this because I never had it, and I had it on the show once. And the people that live in Chicago that watch a show about shit their pants, and I was trying it. I was like, and it is the worst liquor I have ever had in my life, like bar none. Like you can drink cheap tequila, cheap vodka, and fucking Chicago people love this shit. They're like, oh, you got to have a shot of Malort. Like, don't. Go get a hot dog if you're in Chicago.
Listen,
you're much better off.
Chicago people also like the bear, so there you go with that.
That's fair.
Anyway.
So that really, hey, Greg, check out the one that I have. I tried putting it over a glass and it still spilled everywhere, so I'm going to have to go get a paper towel.
She's a gusher.
Yeah, that is my bad. Yeah, there is a little bit of yeast sediment. So as you're pouring it, Doug, maybe you just like stop. Like,
well, wait, how was it your bad? You didn't do this canning, did you?
Yeah.
No. I guess it's my bad that like basically the beer that I mailed y'all, it is it's not released, it's unlabeled, it's unnamed, and it's actually like it needs a little bit more time to bottle condition. But I was like, well, if Greg and Doug want to try something kind of unique, that is probably the best expression of our beer production. I'm gonna send you some saison because we all do lager and we all do IPA, but I wanted to do this blend, and that's why I sent it to y'all. But when Greg's exploded, I was like, well, that's kind of my bad. It just needed a little bit more time in the bottle, or it needed to be put on ice for a few hours.
Yeah,
Greg don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to grab some paper towels to clean up some of this mess, and I will be right back.
Greg don't care. So
yeah.
While Doug does that, we will have sponsor time. Now, this place is not a sponsor of ours, and we are not a sponsor. They do not sponsor us, but we love it so much, so we're going to talk about it. It is, y'all probably heard about it. It's called Barrel Flow. It's in 2 weeks. It's in Pittsburgh. It's at the 3 Stacks at the 3 Crossings, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a great venue. It's a great people. It's a good time. It's all the above. It's voted the best beer festival in America, 2 years running by USA Today. There's collaborations. There's black arts on tap. There's vendors and goods. There's art-based initiatives, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And it's just a great cause, which is black brewers, and spotlighting and platforming black brewers and black artists, and it's just great. Bringing culture to Pittsburgh that I hear from people who I know there desperately needs it. So, and I see a headshot there. I see a nod of approval from Adam. Adam, while Doug prepares, we can have our saison. Do you want to say something about Barrel Flow in general?
It's probably the most unique event in Pittsburgh and maybe in the country. I serve our beer at a lot of beer festivals. I pour offsite, onsite. It's definitely it's a festival that if you are able to attend and experience it, because of the way that it's set up to collaborate brewers with others in the same industries and spaces, it just creates a really nice vibe. The music is great, the food is great, the beer is great. There's live art. The actual space itself is awesome. It's very Pittsburgh because it's right on the river in a very industrial part of the Strip District. I would say I feel like extremely lucky that I've been to all of them like since 2018 when it was Fresh Fest. It's kind of weird timing wise that I've been to every single manifestation of it, including COVID when it was digital. It was just like called like Digiflow. You just like go online and buy it, beforehand and have a beer. It's awesome. And I think that like literally I live above a bar. There's a bar right beneath me. And last night I was like just popping downstairs to have a beer, and I ran into Dave Bracey. He was down there having a beer, and we were both talking about like the timeline and the chronology of Barrel and Flow. And now he's 2 weeks out, so I know he's about to be pretty deep in the weeds because it's now the end of July, so he's about to hit crunch time. But I just told him, I was like, I'm proud of you, man. Like this is cool. I've been to all of them. I've been a sponsor, I've been a vendor, I've been a partner, I've been, obviously a brewery partner now, and we're excited to host a lead up event. So we'll have the Thursday heading into Saturday, we'll have our lead up event. So we'll have like Black DJs, Black artists, Black food trucks, and just like Black owned businesses sort of take over our space for one night.
Trace? This is Trace on Thursday?
Yeah, it'll be Thursday.
I'll be there. We need to go, Greg.
We'll be there. No, we'll be there. We're there.
Like the food truck they had this barbecue truck last year, and I don't remember what the name of the place was. They gave you a fucking plate of food that was just absolutely massive, and it was like $10.
Yeah.
Like I was like, how do you make money? Like you just loading up all the. I'm like, I can't eat all this.
Yeah.
I want to, I can't, but
it's the same guy. Yeah. His business is called Blowfish Barbecue, and he goes by Hootie. But Hootie will be back this year as well for that.
Craig, I'm gonna tell you, man, just get ready. That food there is fucking banging.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Greg, did you try the beer yet, or are you waiting?
Oh yeah. Let's do that before we get to Jerry's question. Yes, I did.
Just the color is lovely too.
So you guys are cracking into the saison.
Yes.
Nice.
Cool. I thought it looked like a soda bottle, which is kind of cool in its own way. I was like, this looks like or a Perrier bottle, maybe even. Like
I think it's like a little green 375. I should say 375 milliliters. I call it a 375, just like industry speak. But
yeah, I opened the package today and I saw the 2 cans and I was like, oh wow, growlers, that's really nice. I thought that was a really wonderful touch. And then this was in more like styrofoam in itself. And I opened it and my son was there and I was like, ooh, and he's like, look at that, unlabeled love. And I was like, yes.
Unlabeled love. All right.
Yes. Yes.
That'd be a good beer
So
name.
I was really excited.
There you
about
go.
this. So
marketing. I don't put any labels on it. Just be like, here you go.
I was really excited about this because again, that's like, when you see that as a beer drinker, craft beer person who knows, these things, that this is like a special beer, or like, y'all just like grabbed it off the line or something. Like that was like, oh yeah, I don't care. So it could have exploded in my face and I would still be happy. So I would actually be mad that I lost some beer. So that would be the biggest thing. I just wanted to say it was great. Thank you. Doug, smooth, approachable. There's a tart crispness at the end. There's a little funkiness that you want from a saison, but it's definitely smooth. It's a summer drinker. Hopefully, y'all releasing that soon because that would just be nice. It's a little heavier though than like a normal summer beer, but that's nice though. Sometimes in the summer, sometimes you want a little bit heavy. I want a big range. So, what did you think of it, Doug?
I thought it was really interesting because like all the notes you mentioned are exactly what I got, except I got a lot of citrus out of it too, which I really enjoyed, and that makes it feel a bit more summery. And we are all big fans of saisons. It's not a style that's brewed as much as I would like because it's such a versatile style. It's basically good with any food. Like it's such a good beer style, and like one thing I will say about Trace is last year is like I just love the diversity of your menu for the beer. Is it's not just here's we have 20 taps and 15 of them are IPAs. Like okay, well, great. I want to try just a variety of stuff, and you guys never disappoint in that because you have just a really great variety of taps. You have a lot of very it feels to me like there's a lot of sort of Germanic centrist styles, like having like a Keller beer, and like that's not something people would think that, and it's like it's essentially a lager, but it's a certain style of lager, but not a lot of people brew that. So what's I'm just going to get back to a question on Trace on this. It's just like, what's a philosophy on that? Is it something where you want to sort of do your classic German, Central European styles? Like, is that sort of not the focus, but something that's a little bit more of the vision of it?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of two parts. Part one would be like our focus on doing diverse events kind of lends itself towards having a diverse tap list. Ideally we could have a drink for every type of drinker. But the second part of that is you're right. The lagers and the saisons and the Germanic styles, what we're finding is that they tend to hit this market pretty well with the weather, with the events, with them being approachable and lighter. We've never, ever done a beer over 10% ABV. Everything we do is a little bit lighter. I feel like I don't want to speak for Zach, but like we kind of have three core styles. The three core styles are lager, saison, and IPA. And then apart from those three styles that are the core styles, we do stout, we do sour, we do porter, we do other stuff as well. But that's if you walk in the door tonight, like right now, you'll probably be able to order a lager and an IPA and a saison, and that's most nights of the year. But then the other stuff we bake in seasonally.
And that's what he sent us to, by the way, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
A lager, a saison, and
an IPA.
I just wanted to make sure you had all three. Yeah.
I just like I don't mind getting and April talking about that being her favorite style. Have you met April yet, Adam?
The name rings a bell. I think I might have. Trying to look at her profile photo.
She's the brewer for the Community, and she made it. What was it? Was it cornbread cream ale? What was that thing she had, Greg? That like everybody liked? Not it was.
That was one of them.
That was fucking fantastic, and cream ales. Cream ales are good, but like finding a different kind of cream ale, like that was just superb. And she just makes some incredibly interesting combinations, and she's just great. So
yeah, I'm excited to meet her. Yeah.
While we're here, we'll get to that later. While we're here, this is appropriate to hit this. Adam, name your favorite summer beer styles.
Ooh, well, I guess I would have to say, admittedly, lager and pilsner. I work in beer. They're lighter. They're approachable. They pair well with food. If I'm after this show, if I'm gonna go downstairs to my local bar or my local brewery and have a beer, I'll probably reach for a lager. That I don't know. I feel like that's a very common response from folks who work in beer, but I just wanted something kind of clean and light and approachable. So I'm drinking a lot of lager, Helles, Keller beer, Schwartz beer, like whatever, anything in that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Doug?
I'm going to go with a Belgian Golden Ale. That's a lot higher in ABV, but damn, it's so nice. Like it's super effervescent. Like that's the thing is every time you pour it, it's like pours way more head than you expect. because you just don't expect that. But like, it's such a good style for the summer because it's, while it might be high in ABV, it's pretty light tasting. So like, and I'm with you on lagers though. Lagers in the summer are just like hand in hand. But yeah. All right, Greg, your turn. What about you?
Can I say Oktoberfest?
Well, they're putting them out now. Why not?
Oktoberfest in July.
That was my smart aleck comment of the times.
July Turfest.
So yeah, real funny story. One of my favorite liquor stores here. They're one of these active ones, Adam, where they're always actively putting out on their their Twitter what the newest things are, and I love that because I know what I mean. I can see what's there, and I can like order. You know what I mean. You know how this goes. So they put up 20 this week, and I was really interested in so I went and counted. There were 12 Oktoberfest, 6 IPAs, and 5 lagers or something like that. And I'm looking at the thing, yeah, it's still July and y'all dropping Oktoberfest. And I almost feel that creep is really more about everybody wants to get out there first. And but the problem with that creep is, Adam, is that by the time fucking October comes, there's not going to be any fucking Oktoberfest. So I don't know if you want to talk about the creep of Oktoberfest, and then and do you like Oktoberfest? Because we probably won't talk to you until Oktoberfest comes and goes. But do you like that style? And then what do you think about the creep?
Love that style. It's one of my favorites. I'm all about it. That creep, I think. And I feel like because I work at such a small brewery, we're a small 10-barrel brew house, neighborhood spot, doing events, selling beer over the bar. For you to go to your local liquor store or beer store and see Oktoberfest being sold and promoted in July, I think that it's speaking more towards the market of distro to get beer out the door and out into people's stores. And they're racing to be first. And this race to be first, just like if you're a journalist breaking a story and your editor is like, hey, I need you to get out there and break this story, right? If that's the case here in Pittsburgh, just speaking for our city, there are going to be some of the Oktoberfest that do hit early. And by early, I mean August. But you'll see a big wave of the breweries that are in our size and scope, like Dancing Gnome and ourselves and Old Thunder and Grist House and Penn. They're all going to hit in early September. And that's sort of become a little bit more normalized. But for you to be having this podcast, this conversation at the end of July tonight, and you're seeing Oktoberfest on the shelf is a little bit alarming, but I think it just speaks to a different market than your neighborhood pub. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just from the distro part being kind of pushing that to make it go.
Totally. And then they might be getting outside pressure from, stores or whoever. There's got to be a lot of other forces that we're unaware of that are other, externalities that are pushing against that for the demand. But I know that 2 weeks ago, I was in New York City and I was meeting with some friends who work at much, much bigger breweries and bigger, distro operations. Their heads might be already into Oktoberfest. My head is currently in August, Barrel and Flow, not quite Oktoberfest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure, April, did you make this, the banana pudding sour? Is that a banana pudding sour? That just, one, I'm a giant fan of banana pudding. And while I'm not a fan of sour beers all that much, that sounds like I would drink the shit out of that. So,
So let's get some comments going on quick here, Doug. Always trying to find ancient grains. April says for her brews. April tries to bring definitely a African flair or a soul food flair or an African American flair to her beers for sure. What's your favorite beer style with coffee, Adam? And do you have a favorite beer style with tea?
Yeah,
they're out.
Yeah, that's I think Jerry's pretty well read, so I think this is coming from Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry.
We know.
So I guess I'll answer it in two parts. For coffee, I would say what makes the most sense, and this is just my palate and my experience, would be coffee porter. I like a good coffee porter. I like that it has that sort of injection of coffee. It makes a lot of sense because it's a roasted malt. It's darker. It's malt driven. It's going to drive that flavor pattern. Before we worked with Ghost, we actually had a different coffee partner. They were called Red Hawk, and they're wonderful, and we love Red Hawk. And we did a collaboration beer with Red Hawk, which was a coffee porter, and it was great. Like, I loved it. It just didn't sell well, only because I think we released it a little too late in the spring when the weather was turning to get warmer, and it was like a 7% porter. And Zach and I were joking, like, "Oh man, this beer must really suck." And it didn't suck. It was a good beer. It was just the seasonality. We were coming out of COVID, trying to figure out what we should make and when. But for the tea question, so there are so many directions that could go. But I will say, to Jerry's question about do you have a favorite beer style with tea, we actually, to Greg's point earlier, we took our Oktoberfest 2 years ago at the end of 2022, and we took a cask, like a firkin, and we lined the cask with oolong tea leaves and filled it with our fest beer that came out of the foeder. So there's like 4 layers happening here. We took our Oktoberfest, put it in an oak foeder, aged it for 3 months, pulled it out of the foeder, served it as a foeder aged fest beer, and guests loved it. But we saved the final 10% in the foeder and filled a cask that was lined with oolong tea leaves, and then served that as an over the bar, off menu, 1 day only special that was meant to be with coffee service. So like if you're having a cup of coffee or a tea, you could actually pull a small pull of the Firkin cask aged oolong foeder fest beer. It's a mouthful. That was amazing because the carb was low, the flavor was high. It was something that Joe and Zach is our head brewer and Joe is our head of coffee. They kind of put their brains together, and Joe was like, "Hey, could I get some of that fest beer out of the foeder, put it in this cask that is lined with tea leaves to see what it tastes like?" And who it spoke to was actually more of our coffee crowd. The beer crowd was like, "This is weird, but you work at Trace, which is already weird, so it's fine." But like we get it. And for me as the marketing guy, I had literally no idea how to talk about it. All I could do was put it on the menu, and it literally said foeder aged fest beer aged on oolong tea leaves. Like it's like aged on aged, and but then it's like out of a cask, and it was like it lasted, I think, Friday into a Saturday, and then it was sold out.
Mm-hmm. No, there's no lasting of that. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
It was really cool, and it's something I wish you guys could definitely try. And if we do it again, if we do it at some point in the future, I'd love to pull some for you.
Yeah.
All right, question for you there, Adam. Where did you go in New York City? Hell's Kitchen is where Daniel lives.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. I was in Tribeca. I did visit Torch and Crown. I had a meeting with a journalist, speaking of journalists, at Torch and Crown in Manhattan. But I actually ended up staying over more towards like Gowanus, Greenpoint, downtown Brooklyn. I was bopping. I wanted to catch Talea. Talea is a woman-owned brewery. They get mentioned in a lot of articles that we're in. It was wonderful. I really wanted to catch like a bunch of spots for music, public records nowadays, elsewhere. Mostly stuff in Brooklyn, between like basically like from Bushwick to like Williamsburg and everything in between, Bed-Stuy, Greenpoint, Red Hook. I went over to Torst, near McCarran, like it just kind of like mostly in Brooklyn. I had a chance to catch up with my good friend Mary. Mary Guyver is the head sort of beer curator for Whole Foods out of Austin, Texas. She was in New York, so we got to catch up, have a beer, and touch base. I love to hear what like bigger sort of like grocery stores are thinking about in the industry. And she travels a lot more than I do. So she was in New York. We got to catch up, chat about beer, hear about what she's been working on, hear about kind of like what are the trends that she's seeing in NA, in seltzer, in hard tea, in beer, and cider, all of that. I was just kind of like all over the place, but I had like 5 days. Actually, when I went, I flew one way, both ways, because I knew I'd just get drunk and have to stay. And so I didn't want to book a round trip flight and have to be bound to an end, because I was just like, I'm going to go out every single night. So I booked it one way there, hung out, did all that stuff, and then I flew one way back. The highlight was definitely going to an event that is called Tiki Disco. Tiki Disco is a disco that is put on by these 3 DJs who started this disco in 2010 in Bushwick in Brooklyn. And they have grown it to be this party that is a free party. You just show up. It's a free party. You buy your own booze. You dance. You hang out. There were probably like between 2,000 and 3,000 people there. But it was so special because we have a monthly disco at Trace. And we always bring on guest artists. And one of those 3 DJs did our June like guest set at Trace in Pittsburgh. And to get to see him perform at his home base was like super cool. So yeah, mostly just kind of all over the place.
Sweet.
Excellent. What's up, Hex? What's up, Hex?
Yeah, so
you got a follow-up, Doug, or no? Jay Chief wants to say, where did you get the hams? What is this, the Midwest? Don't do that, JHG. Do not. Look, Adam and I are having a good conversation. We don't need to get into whether Ohio is the Midwest or not.
Yeah, but he's a masshole. You just kind of got to shuffle him off to the side.
I just bought it locally, but yeah, we love our hams. I mean, it's just, you know, I work in beer.
All right. Let's see.
Booty and the hoe fish. By the way, booty and the hoe fish is what my friends used to call them. And I will tell you, I fucking love their music. Maybe I'm just an old white guy. It might be, but man, their music is goofy and fun and irreverent. And they never took themselves seriously. They're all like, hey, we know we just fucking look. We hit the sweepstakes. We're just doing our thing. So yeah.
Oh, wait. Booty and a hoe fish or Hootie and a blowfish? What are we talking about?
Hootie and the blowfish, my friends used to call them booty and the hoe fish. And that's what he's saying. And I don't, and Greg and Jerry and I have never discussed this. He just said that. And I was like, we used to call him that too when I was younger. And that was just because it's like shitting on Nickelback. Like Nickelback sold a gazillion fucking albums and they made.
Yeah, but they're still horrible.
Nah, I mean, they're mediocre, but whatever.
They're horrifying. Don't do that, Doug. Anyway, I'll say bleed saisons and sweat lagers. Look at that.
Yep.
Look at that. Yes. All right. Doug, do you have I have
a third beer. Do you have one too? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
I don't have it ready.
So, all right, I do.
You can go.
And apropos for Adam, check it out. I got a coffee stout.
Oh,
hey, look at that! Wow, where's that from, Doug?
Industrial Arts, which I believe is out of New York City. If I'm not wrong, not right? Yeah, Beacon, New York.
Nice, that's awesome, man.
I'm assuming Daniel, is this actually out of New York City? I've had a bunch of Industrial Arts. They make mostly a lot of fucking IPAs. So, yeah, we're going to see. It's only 5%. So, one thing about Industrial Arts, they make really cool can art. I don't know if you can see because of the color or mine. So, we're going to pour this out. And we'll see how it is. By the way, that saison still is that's going to play in my head for a while. So, that's really good.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty much almost done.
I'm going to grab my next beer. I'll be right back.
Yep.
No worries. Okay, cool.
Look at the color of that, baby.
Okay. All right.
Oh, the coffee is like super duper prominent on the nose. So this is, yeah, they're fooling around with that. Like, I thought it was interesting that Adam said coffee porter, and it makes sense because of the roastiness of porters. But I am also I'm a little bit more partial to coffee stouts. I don't know why, but yeah. So.
And stouts are porters, but anyway.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. That is super good. Sometimes you get coffee stouts and they try to put chocolate in it and make it a little bit sweet. Nope. You get all the bitterness of the coffee with this very slight sweet note from the stout. This is fucking super drinkable. It's only 5%, so it's a low ABV beer. This is really outstanding. I'm going to get some more of this, Greg, and you're going to get some of this because I know you dig this. Oh, it is. JHE, it is absolutely fantastic. So,
yeah, Doug. Okay, so while we wait for Adam to come back, do you want to talk about this real quick?
Oh, yeah. So, we are starting. Oops, sorry, I took that off and then you put it back on. Jonestown. The Jonestown massacre is something Renee and I have always wanted to talk about for the cult bar. Problem is, it is the by far the biggest cult thing that's ever happened that we know of. Anyway. So we're going to start with the woman behind the massacre. I misspelled behind, so it says behind. But this is going to be like the women who are behind Jim Jones and the whole thing. And we're going to do another show after that. So we're going to basically do 3 shows covering Jonestown. So it's going to be 3 shows where we talk about Jonestown. The first one's going to be.
Oh my God.
It's so massive. Like, it's huge. So we're going to just do that. Shout out to Renee, who right now is at the hotel that The Shining was filmed in for her birthday.
No.
The Stanley Hotel. She is there right now. That's her 40th birthday. Her and her husband are there right now. So, yeah, you're not going to go there?
No.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
Come on now, man.
I don't even approve of Renee going.
By the way, Adam, this is superb. I think you'd really dig this. So.
Awesome. And that's the beer from Industrial Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, dude.
I have several things I want to bring to you. Are you going to be there on the Thursday at Trace that I can bring some things?
Yeah, we can bring you something.
For sure. I will be parked there. I mean, I live like a 10-minute walk from the brewery. Like I'm nearby, so I'm back and forth all day. But as far as those few days, I'll be there.
You literally look like you're looking out your window and you can see the brewery. So that's hilarious.
Just about, yeah.
Well, the funny thing is when he was like, I'm going to look at August, and then he looks at his watch, like he has the calendar just up on his watch, which I think is fucking great. But how many people do? I don't wear watches, especially in summer, because I really don't like it when I sweat under my watch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why that drives me nuts, but it does. So.
Yeah, I have this wicked tan line from bartending outside. Like, look at that. Like, it's like so much lighter. Like, I'm obviously brown, like I'm Indian, but like I get darker, man. Like, that is so wild that like that's just from wearing a watch, bartending outside.
Go ahead, Greg.
Look, you got something? No, you got something?
No, you go first. I got something.
Okay, cool. Well, since he brought up he was Indian, I'm just gonna go in.
I was going there too.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So obviously you don't speak for, all Indian folks, but how does beer play in Indian culture? And I don't see many Indian people when I go to breweries, and and it's almost, I wouldn't even say it's less as far as, behind the bar or even working or, obviously, as a brewer or anything. So I don't know if you wanted to speak to just that in general. And if there's any misconceptions that people, because, when, in America, when we don't know things, we make up things in our head. So, sometimes, just having someone, who's a friend or who's adjacent to you can open up your world to different things, because we don't really teach any history besides white history, and we don't really I better hold off about what I'm about to say, actually, because I don't know if that categorization is true. I was going to say we don't celebrate other cultures that hard, and that's not true, but sometimes it feels that way, if that makes sense, Adam. So I don't know if you want to comment on kind of what I kind of wanted to hit you with that awkward race question, but at the same time, it's just because I'm interested. And hey, man, it can be as I know it's auger for white people. It can be as auger for black folks talking to other people, because I just don't assume anything about culture. But I don't, there actually is an Indian brewery here now, Doug, in Wisconsin. Actually,
Awesome.
Pilot Project, who pilot projects Funky Town, they have an Indian brewer now, and I'm really interested in going to Pilot Project and trying them out. But anyway, sorry, Adam, I asked you a question and then I rambled on like a clown, so I will shut my mic and let you finish.
No, you're good. I don't know that there is like that much within the Indian culture, the South Indian culture, like around craft beer. I would say that like when I think about it in Pittsburgh, what comes to mind is like in the front of house, we have like two very visible people, myself and my friend Shivesh. Shivesh works at Dancing Gnome. They're awesome. He is behind the bar, bartending, serving, and I'm at Trace. And we joke because we've had guests be like, "Oh, you just served me at Dancing Gnome," and I'm like, "Oh, that's actually the other brown guy. That's actually Shivesh." But I love him and he's awesome and we're homies. But that wasn't me. That was the other one because there's only two, right? But we're in Pittsburgh. We're in a small city. As far as in production, I feel like a really good resource to talk about Indian people and beer production is probably Ravani De Silva out of Austin, Texas. She's a writer. She writes about beer and craft beverage, and she's spoken at conferences about what you're asking in more in depth. And I've been on a couple of panels that she's moderated. But like, I would say like, man, the best way to answer your question would be if we're talking about ingredients like a grain bill. Obviously, in India, a big part of our diet is rice. And so if you think about like a rice lager, like a rice saison, or rice as a derivative to basically draw sugar into wort to brew beer, we have it. Like we totally have that and we nail that. And then we also have chai, like chai as in like tea. So when you think about like an adjunct to flavor a beer on the cold side, if you have like a chai porter or like a chai stout or like a chai sour or anything, that is something that is very native to like our area of like South Asia. But to answer your question, I haven't seen a ton of Indian owned or Indian folks in production. And
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But actually it didn't come out right, but I was also thinking as far as culture wise, through the diaspora of Indian people, is beer something that y'all is a part of your culture? Beer's really infirmed in American culture. Like if you're an American, you know about beer, you know about Bud, you know about it. You may not drink it, but you know about it. Is it that way kind of in the Indian diaspora general? Do people like beer, or is it y'all just drink something else?
Yeah, I would say that's a really good question. And like I'm such a like an Ohio corn-fed, like born and raised like American that like to speak towards the Indian culture of drinking beer, I almost am like, I don't think it is. I would almost be challenged to like go one generation up and ask my dad because like he actually grew up abroad and would have a better grasp of it. When I am out and about here in Pittsburgh and I take a look at like my Indian friends, they tend to gravitate towards like cider, seltzer, cocktail, wine, other beverages. I love that we have hosted 2 Indian weddings at Trace and we're a brewery. Like that's awesome. I love that like this couple was like, hey, we want to get married at a brewery and we wanted to be in this urban setting at Trace. That's been really cool for me to get to meet the mom and the dad, be like, hey, I know that your son or your daughter, this is the biggest day of their life because they're getting married here. But just so you know, you're in my house. Like I'm also Indian and I appreciate you doing this here. But I would say in the diaspora day to day, yeah, I think that we drink beer, but I haven't seen it quite at like the level of America. And I think Dan's saying that like friends went back to India for business school. Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, I think that it is moving in that direction.
Well, y'all got a whole ass the biggest best style in America is named at is Indian Pale Ale. So like, yeah,
Right.
come on now, let's go, y'all.
Right. We do have that. Yeah, we do have the I in IPA.
Well, to your point about M. Souter, like she kind of debunked the idea that like people look at that as being like it was something for British soldiers going to India, and like that's not actually what it was. So, to your point about that, but like there's the IPA, but like I thought it was Imperial, and then there's like Indian Brown Ale, which the North Brewery just made, which is a brewery near me, and that is superb. But like the idea of like IPAs being for British soldiers going to India is actually not really true. And M. Souter, as you noted before, who will actually be on the show fairly soon. We have her booked, but the idea of that being the case is not really the case. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it still says Indian dog. That's it. That's all we got.
All right, fair.
No, you went another level, and we all agree to that. But just keep, yeah, it's cool.
Adam, what did you just pour there? You were like admiring the color and all that. What did you just pour?
I don't know.
Doug,
I
you
just
got follow up too.
Gotta follow up here. Let me try to see what I just grabbed.
Did you just open something and not know what it was?
Yeah, I just reached into my fridge because I just have a bunch of beers from guest breweries. All right. So this is a brewery called Hidden Hand out of Michigan. I'm sorry. Nope, it's out of Illinois. I'm sorry. Naperville, Illinois, Hidden Hand. It is it's an oud brewing with Michigan cherries. So it's basically an oak fermented bottle conditioned ale. It's basically a sour. It's really good. I just pulled it out of my fridge because I had it, and it's kind of got this like brownish red tone to it. It's kind of a
Smidox Brewing Company glass. Awesome.
Oh yeah, I wanted to give them a shout out too because they're good friends of ours. But yeah, Smidox is out of Dallas, Texas area, and yeah, we love Kumba. He'll be back for Barrel of Flow.
Yep. Sweet. So what do you think of it? You said it's good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think it's actually one that I've had before. I think often working at a brewery, we are gifted various cans and bottles from other breweries. And, now that I'm on the show and I'm talking to y'all and I have a moment to like sit with it and kind of, smell it and taste it, it's great. Yeah, it's very like, it's got like the cherries are coming through for sure. The malt is coming through really nicely. I don't think it's overly boozy or overly like acidic. Yeah, it's just a really nice balanced sour with cherries.
So, Doug, you had a brown guy question?
Oh, it's actually about the fact that Adam and I talked about the issue of representation. He was talking about having his brewery actually host 2 Indian weddings. And that's where I was going to get to, was just the idea of like representation and like how beer can kind of sort of bridge the gap, which sometimes isn't. I mean, liquor can bridge a gap in a lot of different cultures, depending on the culture. Like the idea of like, if you're in Asia, you can have sake, and like that bridges a gap in that realm. And but it doesn't always have to be that. Like the idea that you can look at it and be like, I look like the people that wanted to get married here, and I don't think people realize just how much that shit matters. Just how much it matters to see people that look like you, like. White people like me never have to worry about that because all the media is kind of sort of centered on that. And so we never have to worry about that or think about that. And it is something where to be able to kind of take yourself out of the equation and look at the idea of like, oh, well, yeah, those folks should have the idea of being able to do what they want to do when they want to do it and how they want to do it. Because even though they don't look like me, is like, we never have to consider that. And it's something that like I readily admit I have blind spots, and sometimes I have to unlearn things, and that is something that I still sometimes stumble over. So I'm not really asking a question here. It's just more like acknowledging people going, yeah, they saw me and I look like them, so they wanted to have their wedding here. Yeah, that matters. That shit fucking matters, and I think it's great that you guys were able to do that. And the space is not very large. Like Trace is not huge, but the idea that they could have their wedding in that, and So my question is going to be, I actually do have a question related to that. So I understand that from what I very narrowly understand of Indian culture, and understand I'm saying that as a white guy who doesn't know it, is like usually a lot of times you'll have an quote unquote American wedding, and then you'll have an Indian wedding, and like Indian weddings are really elaborate and last several days. Was that something that they were, these two couples, and obviously we don't want to know particulars, but like, were they doing this? This was their quote unquote American wedding. Is this just their wedding?
That's a great question. So there were two of them. The one couple that I was closer to, that I had a chance to like talk to and get to know and understand, they also they did do a dual ceremony, one in New York City. They live in New York City. They must have some tie to Pittsburgh, honestly, where they were like, hey, we want to do one of our ceremonies in Pittsburgh. Must have been through family. It was beautiful. It was really cool to see that. But as far as like the American reception or the Indian reception, the Indian weddings are like 3 to 5 days long. It's a commitment. It is a lot of moving parts and things happening. From what I understood is they really wanted to do something in Pittsburgh. They chose Trace. It was awesome. It was really beautiful. They also had some element of wedding in New York, and then that was it. So I think that, I mean, and I don't want to speak for all Indian people, but I think that the culture of like having like 2 or 3 or 4 ceremonies is sort of moving more towards a singularity. But for these couples in particular, I thought it was really cool to just meet the parents who were obviously like footing the bill, but also like really happy to be a part of this space and to be like, hey, I am a co-owner of Trace. Like I have a small equity stake. I'm a partner. I appreciate y'all. I'm happy that you're doing this here. We closed to the public, and we don't do that often. It's only like a few times a year, and it's usually for a wedding. And for 2 of them to be Indian weddings, I was like, wow, man, it's colorful and it's vibrant, and the catering is like catered toward our diet, and like the beers, and like, Zach even like dialed in some couple of special saisons with like basil and things like that he was like, hey, let me try to put a beer on that's going to fit for your people and like for this culture and this community. There were a few extra steps that we took to make sure that it made sense, and all we did was play host. We just had the space for it.
Fantastic.
So Doug has a goofy question for you, but I'll throw a semi-serious one at you real quick. Adam, we would be doing malpractice if we didn't ask you about your knowledge and your love of Pittsburgh as a food and beverage city. Would you like to tell everybody who hasn't been to Pittsburgh or who hates the Steelers why we should why Pittsburgh is a good city for both those things? And yeah.
Yeah, I think that the hospitality scene here is pretty great. It's sort of punches above its weight. So when I think about cuisine or food or beverage, we're a city of roughly 370,000 people. So it's really small. We're not at the same level of like New York, Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, anything. So we're tiny. Of those 370,000 people, we have about 45 breweries. So the per capita rate's high. They're all doing stuff for their neighborhoods. And I think that like the reason we all survive and the reason we all do well is we're just like, oh, cool. Like you're doing the thing that makes sense for your neighborhood, just like Trace does drag brunch and disco and hip hop and trap parties and all of what we do for our neighborhood. But on the food side, there was a bit of a turning moment, like at the end of at the end of 2015. There's a hotel chain called Ace, and Ace Hotel opened a location in Pittsburgh, and it was amazing. And they won awards, and it was beautiful, and it was really, really thoughtful hospitality and like organic and fun, great food and drink. They did not survive COVID, so COVID kind of killed that. But what spawned out of that was a lot of those folks who worked there, who gained the knowledge and the experience and the know-how, are now kind of like breathing that culture into the rest of Pittsburgh. And we're lucky to have a few folks from the ACE at now Trace who have that knowledge and know-how, and to continue that tradition of like excellence. I think that if you're visiting our city from the outside and you take a look around, you know, people are going to be like, eat a sandwich at Primanti's, you know, drink in Iron City. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you just go like one more layer of the onion further and deeper, what you'll find is that there are some really incredible, like the Southeast Asia, Sichuan, Chinese food scene here in Squirrel Hill, which is actually a Jewish neighborhood, is incredible. It's like one of the best in the country. And then if you go to like where I live in Lawrenceville and you wanted to have something more like modern or American or French or Belgian, we have spots for that. And I feel really lucky. We have an amazing izakaya. Izakaya is like Japanese street food. So there's an amazing spot called Umami that is up the street here. I always try to recommend people, you know, there's like the whole Eastern European, Polish, German, Hungarian immigrant community doing what they're doing. And now we're getting this like interesting Uzbek, Central Asian immigrant population coming in and opening Uzbek restaurants. So if you are visiting, like definitely like my advice would be go to any bar and talk to your bartender. Just ask them where they go out to eat. Ask them where they go relax or like go have a drink. And you'll get that one further layer of the onion beyond all the blogs and like, you know, like media outlets who are going to tell you to eat a sandwich at Primanti's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the idea of like, I think that's solid advice wherever you go. Like if you're in another country and you are at a bar, where do you eat? Where would you suggest? And you check to the, because if you go to any place, if you go into fucking Dublin and you go to Temple Bar, great. You're not getting Irish food. You're getting the tourist version of what Irish food is. Like I remember going, my wife and I went to Scotland and Ireland for our anniversary, and it was a 2-year delay because we just didn't have the money. And we ate some amazing food, but we had to ask locals, where do you eat? And this one person's like, I know Americans think haggis is like the grossest thing ever. When you eat it there and it's just made right, it is absolutely delicious. But people get squirrely because it's made in an animal stomach.
Yeah.
Hey, people have been making stuff in animal stomachs for fucking thousands of years. Like that's not an unusual thing, but because like Americans think, oh well, that's gross. No, it's not. It's a cooking mechanism. So like I think you telling people to go talk to the locals and ask where they eat to get something like Primanti Brothers has its place. There's a Primanti Brothers in Scranton, which is an hour from me. I ate there. It is okay. It's a sandwich with fries on it. Great. If you like that, and great, experience it and try it. And maybe you love it, and that's not a detractor to you. But like, I don't want to eat. I want to eat stuff that folks around there eat. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry. That was a. Haggis is definitely better than Malort. The problem is people, like I said, it's just a perception thing. They just think it's gross, and it's not. All right. So I'm going to ask a question here. I know you're not a native of Pittsburgh from where you grew up, Adam. But here's my question.
Close enough.
Close enough. What is the greatest Pittsburgh-centered movie that you can think of?
Oh man, probably gosh, yeah, they love filming movies here.
Yeah. It's a wildly underrated place that people film movies.
Yeah, damn, that's a really good question. I mean, honestly, Doug, like this is going back to like the early to mid 80s.
Yep.
Sorry, there's bunch of motorcycles going by. So if we go back to the mid 80s, there was an amazing film here, filmed here in Pittsburgh called Flashdance, and I feel like that is one of the best representations of diversity of Pittsburgh, of the working class culture, of the union people. Like, it's also like really cool cinematography because it's both like sexy but also kind of like with the way it's shot in the dark. Yeah, it's like gritty. I feel like and maybe I have my own blind spots, but like Flashdance is very Pittsburgh and a little bit timeless. But it is, I mean, I'm 37, so I'm like, I was born in 86. I feel like it's even before my time, because I think that movie dropped in like 84, 85, you know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you are correct. Also, I think you are correct here, Daniel, that some of The Dark Knight was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that would be the more common response, which is an amazing film. And The Dark Knight was filmed in Pittsburgh, like a lot of downtown and Oakland and Squirrel Hill. But Flashdance definitely, like, people sleep on that and they forget that was filmed right here too.
Well, it's damn near 40 years old.
Totally.
People don't like. Listen, I'm a 52-year-old man. That was in my heyday, and Jennifer Beals was like, that was sort of a sexual awakening as a straight guy, seeing her taking her bra off at a fucking restaurant under a sweatshirt. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm a little sweaty here. What is going on here? So yeah, Flashdance is a very good one. Yeah. Greg, do you have any that you could think of that you know of? No. All right, I'm going to give you one that's a little weird. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Well, the Browns beating the Steelers in the playoffs wasn't a movie, but it was filmed. But anyway,
filmed. It was filmed.
Sorry, that's all I
It was cool. Yeah.
All right. So
wait. You a Browns fan, Adam?
I'm from Akron. Like, I grew up
from Akron, dude.
Right near like where LeBron grew up. Like,
okay, Doug, but that's never stopped any Pittsburgh Steelers fan from being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan if they were born in Akron, and Adam could tell you that too. But anyway, that aside, go on, Doug. It's not a given if you're from there because again, this is no. There's a lot of Steelers fans in Cleveland.
Yeah, Greg's right. Like,
fans.
The border is very fluid and it bleeds over. If you drive to Youngstown or Akron, you will for sure find Steelers fans, and that's fine.
Right.
It's not a given. But like, no, Greg, I grew up a Browns fan, and like, you know, it's just like how I roll. And it's cool that we're doing better, and it's cool to think that like this fall we could do better, and continue to. But yeah, no, I grew up a Browns fan. I'm not gonna like quit waving that flag.
Yeah.
Go. Anyway, Doug, go on.
All right. So I'm going to give you the thing that is probably the most identifiable Pittsburghery movie. And it's going to sound really dumb, but it's a movie called Striking Distance with Bruce Willis. Where he is a boat guy driving along all the three rivers of Pittsburgh. And it's just Pittsburgh all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Like, it is just, and Sarah Jessica Parker is his sidekick, but she's super young. Like, I think this is not far after Mallrats. Like, it is just the goofiest fucking movie. And now listen, I feel bad for Bruce Willis. That guy is, unfortunately, he's got this affliction where it's like not dementia, but it's sort of in that vein. And yeah, that movie is just it's like the Beverly Hills Cop of Pittsburgh. Yeah. And and there's some other ones that I didn't think about. Like, I was thinking about this, and I think like the Mothman Prophecies was filmed around Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
God, my brain is like, Stigmata.
Yeah. There's that one. Obviously, Dark Knight.
And you mentioned Fences, which is
Fences.
It is not a comedy. Okay. THG, that movie was released in 1993, so it's old. Just understand you're getting Bruce Willis was still with hair in his head. Like, so you're just not getting like Bruce Willis, diehard Bruce Willis. So just forewarning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, unless you have anything else, Doug, we're gonna move to wrap here.
All right.
We
No,
good? We good?
I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about, but like, I think we need to. We've eased Adam into it. Next time we'll just fucking pummel him with all our weird shit.
All right. Well, okay. On that note, we'll. Adam, this is where we review what we drank. So I don't know if you want to talk about any of it or.
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah. Oh, wait, for me?
Yeah, sir. You first.
Yeah, I had some notes because I before I went on the show, I was actually talking to Zach because I was like, hey man, like I've got Greg and Doug, in New York and Wisconsin, and I'm gonna send them some beer that's they can't really like check in on Untapped because it like again Greg's got it right there in the video feed. It's unlabeled, it's unnamed. So basically, like I also tried that before I mailed it to y'all. And just so that both of you know what's in it, what we did was we took it looks like JHG can't be there this year, but yeah, I'll be there next year. Yeah, I go to all of them. We took 4 different threads of beer. So talking to Zach can mean anything.
No, we have a guy named Zach Rosenberg who comes in who just makes the show go completely off the rails every time. So yeah, that's a bit of a little that we didn't know. So
I mean that analogy plays to ours as well because our Zach is just like he's the head brewer, very much like in his own realm. But when I mailed this beer to Greg and Doug, and I was like, hey man, like I'm gonna send them some of this collab saison that we don't even know what's going on with it yet, but it's 4 threads. The 4 threads are we took a little bit of our Foeder aged Keller beer from Trace, we blended it with clean saison out of stainless from Trace. We blended that with clean saison from Katie Sullivan from Coven, and then we took that and when we pulled a barrel sample from a mixed culture beer that we open fermented in our cool ship. We blended all that together in a wine tank, and then we bottled it into 375s. And it's currently kind of carbing up, as Greg found out. It's very carbed up, but it's like it's carbing and it's getting conditioned and it's getting to a point where it'll be ready to enter service. And I think we have like roughly 20 cases of it. That like Foeder Keller, clean saison, barrel aged, open fermented beer combo is those are the 4 threads in that beer, and that's something that Zach does really well is to take blends of saisons and lagers and bring them together and add Brett. And it's very delicate to move that beer around because we don't want to cross contaminate other clean beers, in our brew house. But that's one that I'm not even. I don't even have it here. I'm just drinking hams. Like I'm just telling you guys that because you both have it and you get to enjoy it, and I'll enjoy it hopefully in a month or 2 once it's ready. But we need to run that by Katie to come up with a name because Katie Sullivan, who was the head brewer at Coven, she got married and moved to Maine, and her husband's a doctor, and he got like a big boy doctor job in Portland, Maine. And when she moved, she was like, I'm out. I'm leaving Pittsburgh. I'm leaving brewing. I'm gonna follow my husband and go to Portland, Maine. And we need to kind of hit her up and figure out what's the name. How do we talk about this? Like what do we want to present this as to people as this like kind of blended saison with a lager thread and a clean saison thread and a barrel aged thread all happening at once.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yep.
That was great. But you also had a hams. What are you drinking now? Hams?
Just having some hams, yeah.
Back to the hams. Yeah.
Hams. And then you had another beer. What was the first one?
Oh, I just had like an IPA from Old Thunder. It's called See Yourself. It's just like a hazy IPA. I drank that early on just to start with an IPA. And then this like Foeder aged like cherry beer from from Illinois.
So is Old Thunder near you?
Yeah, so they are just up the river in Blawnox. They're like 2 bus stops past Dancing No. So they're just on the same river.
Yeah, sweet. All right, you want me to go next, Greg, or do you want to go? All right, so everything I had was fucking excellent tonight. I was really lucky in that everything turned out great. This, the prettiest fucking can from a crowler I've ever had. This is just really good lager. I drank the whole fucking thing, which it's 5.2, so not terrible in the idea of ABV. The stout of the art, coffee stout from Industrial Arts was really good. My favorite was the fucking Saison. That was just so good. I could have had a boatload of that and just been very happy. So thank you for sending that to us, Adam. That was fantastic. Yeah, Greg.
Happy to.
Got everything for me. What's up, Doug?
Nothing. I just wondered if you had any other notes about the beers that we had, or you.
No, you said it all.
Yeah,
they're great. Great. Again, thanks, Adam, for mine arrived just in time. I'll drink the IPA next week, Doug.
Yeah,
with the IPA, with our friend, Doug, our friend
Amanda Dybert. So her and her wife are comic book artists, and she's written for a million different things, and she's just fantastic. We love her. She's been on twice. This will be her third time coming. She gets to talk about this collaboration that her and her wife are doing about the Powerpuff Girls Halloween special. Like,
that's really dope.
That is fucking dope.
It's really dope. Yeah.
So it'll be fantastic. It's Manny, you're right. Comic. Yeah, and Daniel will be next year. So
Yeah, you do too.
Manny, you do too, man. You need to come.
Yes. So, Adam, we want to thank you. We will get to hang out with you in less than 2 weeks or 2 weeks ish or something like that. Down the road. Yeah, it's right around the corner. Doug and I will definitely be at the Thursday event, especially if it's at Trace. We're there. I love the space. I remember enjoying it much. And I don't know, y'all just give off good vibes there. I forget who the bartender was, but y'all were just welcoming, and it was just really nice when I went. Nothing but love here, Adam, and we just want to thank you. If you have any parting shots or anything that we might have missed that you want to say.
No, I just want to say thank you for having me on board, and hope your listeners and the viewers had a good time. If you are in town, we're having this conversation now at the end of July, so we're heading right into Barrel and Flow. But I know Greg and Doug and others, and Jerry, others who are watching are going to be there. It's a really beautiful time, and it's special. I'm biased because I live in Pittsburgh, I work in Pittsburgh, and I've attended Barrel and Flow. But if for Daniel and others who haven't, it's a really, really good time, and it's worth the experience to come check it out. I think that, like, to your point, Greg, the event on Thursday before the festival will be at Trace, so I'll see you there. And I would just say, honestly, to credit Dave Bracey and the whole team at Barrel and Flow do what they're doing. It's really special. They've opened up beer and craft beverage to a whole new audience, and a lot of what we're doing at Trace would not be possible without the hard work of Day to open up our events and our beverage and our bar and our space to new people, because we know we'll attract a certain community, but that extra effort or challenge is to touch new people. So that's just kind of a big part of my role is to do that and to do it effectively. So appreciate y'all having me on board.
Yep. We will hang out a bit afterwards if you want to hang out. If you don't, that's also cool. Greg's like, man, whatever. All right, but thank you, Adam. It's really appreciated.
Of course. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Sorry, Greg.
What were you gonna say? I was just gonna say, we'll see him in a minute. Yep. See y'all next week.
Cheers.
Put it on that beat. Go.